The richest person you know didn't pick the right stock. They didn't time the bottom. They didn't have insider info. They didn't get lucky on a meme coin in 2021. They didn't inherit. They didn't win. They did one thing 97% of people will never do. They kept buying when everyone else was selling. Your first $100 doesn't matter. Your second $100, the one you invest after watching your portfolio drop 20% in 6 weeks, is the only number that does. Because the first $100 proves you can start. The second $100 proves you won't quit. And the gap between those two decisions is the gap between the people who retire at 65 with $84,000 and a paid-off Camry, and the people who retire at 45 with $2.4 million and the freedom to choose what their Tuesday morning looks like. This is your life at every level of investing. From the first $100 you'll forget you spent, to the morning your money earns more before breakfast than your boss pays you in a week. It starts with a number small enough to feel meaningless, and a decision big enough to rewrite everything that comes next. Level 1. The Saver Trap. You are 27 years old, and you are responsible with money. Not reckless. Actually responsible. The kind of responsible your parents brag about at family dinners. You have $12,000 sitting in a savings account at the bank that gave you a free toaster when you opened it in college. The interest rate is 0.4%. You check the balance every Sunday night. The number rarely changes. You feel safe. Last year, your savings earned $48. Last year, inflation was 3.2%. That means your $12,000. The same $12,000 you worked 3 weekends of overtime to build. The same $12,000 you said no to vacations and dinners out to protect, lost $384 in real purchasing power while you were busy feeling responsible. You are getting richer in numbers. You are getting poorer in value. This is not saving. This is losing money slowly and with discipline. The thought arrives on a Wednesday morning. A coworker your age mentions, casually, that he started buying S&P 500 ETFs at 23. He is at $34,000 now. Same salary as you. Same city. Same starting point. The only difference is that 4 years ago, he opened a brokerage account on a Sunday evening, and you opened a higher yield savings account that paid 0.4%. The thought lasts 4 seconds before the other thoughts arrive. What if the market crashes? What if I pick wrong? What if I lose everything? What if I should wait until I understand it better? What if I lose my job next year and I need that $12,000? What if? What if? What if? You finish your breakfast. You do not open a brokerage account. But the thought does not leave. It is there at the ATM that night. It is there when the bank app shows you the same balance as last month. It is there at 11 p.m. on a Saturday, when you cannot sleep, scrolling on your phone, when you finally type into Google, S&P 500, average return, 30 years. The screen shows you a number that makes you sit very still. 10.5% per year for 3 decades. Through Black Monday, the dot-com bust, 9/11, the 2008 financial crisis, COVID, average. After all of it, you open the calculator on your phone. $12,000 at 0.4% for 30 years, $13,520. $12,000 at 10.5% for 30 years, $245,000. The gap is $231,480. That gap has a name. It is called inaction, and you have been feeding it for 4 years, while the math that could change your life sat on the other side of a decision you almost did not make. Level 2. The first $100. The notification arrives on a Sunday evening, an email from your bank, the savings interest summary for the month, $4.12. You stare at it for a long time. Not because $4.12 is offensive, because you remember the calculator from last night, the screen with $245,000 on it. You close the email, open your laptop, type "Best Brokerage Account Beginner" into Google. 11 minutes later, you have an account. Username, password, social security number, 2-factor authentication, a small confirmation message saying, "Welcome." The platform asks, what you want to buy. You almost close the tab. The fears come back. The what ifs. The familiar voice that has kept your $12,000 earning $48 a year. You feel your hand move toward the X button at the top of the browser. You do not close the tab. You type VOO, the cheapest, simplest S&P 500 ETF, the same one your coworker mentioned. You do not have a strategy. You have a ticker symbol and a hand hovering over a button. You buy $100. You press it before you can decide it is too small. The order fills in 0.4 seconds, a small green check mark, a confirmation number. Nothing dramatic happens. The lights do not flicker. The world does not announce itself. But you look at the screen for a long time. Not because $100 is life-changing, because this $100 is different from every dollar in your savings account. Your savings account holds money that sits and waits for you to spend it. This $100 is connected to 500 companies. To Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, Johnson & Johnson. To revenue, dividends, profit margins, decisions made by 500 CEOs you will never meet. That is a completely different relationship with money. Someone, somewhere, is building something, and as of 0.4 seconds ago, you own a tiny piece of it. You tell no one. Not yet. You want it to be yours for a little while. You open a spreadsheet. You type $100. Then, what if this happened every month? $1,200 a year. At 10% for 40 years, that is $632,000. At $500 a month, $3.16 million. At $1,000 a month, $6.32 million. You sit with those numbers for a long time, not with excitement, with the specific feeling of someone who has just seen a calculation that cannot be unseen. 3 days later, you read about a 2008 investor who held through the crash and tripled their money by 2020. The article ends with one sentence, which you write down on a sticky note above your desk. The market always recovers. Investors who don't stay invested don't. The question is no longer whether this is possible. The question is how much you can invest before you stop calling this a hobby. Level 3. The compounding habit. You set up the automation on a Tuesday night. Auto invest. $400. The first of every month. Straight into VOO. You schedule it before you can negotiate with yourself. Then you make a rule. Do not check the portfolio more than once a week. Month 3. You have invested $1,200. The balance shows $1,247. $47 you did not work for. $47 that arrived while you were sleeping, commuting, sitting in meetings you did not need to attend. Something shifts in the way you understand time. Month 6. Invested $2,400. Balance $2,580. The math is starting to compound on itself in a way the spreadsheet predicted, but your nervous system did not. Month 9. The market drops 18% in 6 weeks. Your balance goes from $3,600 contributed, $3,840 value, to $3,600 contributed, $2,950 value. You have lost $890 on paper, about a week and a half of take-home pay. The internet is screaming. CNBC is running red banners across the bottom of the screen. Every YouTube finance channel is uploading thumbnails with the word crash in red capital letters. Your coworker, the one who told you about VOO, texts you that he is moving to cash until things stabilize. Your mother forwards you an article titled, "Is This 2008 All Over Again?" Your uncle calls during dinner to tell you about a friend of a friend who lost everything in the dot-com bubble. You sit with the number for a long time. You almost log in to sell. Twice. Then you do nothing. You do not stop the auto-invest. You do not check the balance more than once that week. You do not read the article your mother forwarded. You do not answer the second call from your uncle. What you realize, slowly, is this. At lower prices, your $400 is buying more shares than it bought 3 months ago. The The crash is not the enemy. The crash is a sale. And the only people who lose money in a sale are the ones who walk out of the store. 18 months later, the market closes at a new all-time high. Your contributions, sept, $200, balance, wit, $940. Your coworker, the one who moved to cash, is still in cash. He is waiting for a better entry point. He has been waiting for 14 months. He missed the entire recovery. He locked in his losses and watched the rebound from the sidelines. The difference between you and him is not knowledge. He has read more books about investing than you have. He follows 3 finance newsletters. He can explain price-to-earnings ratios at the dinner table. The difference is discipline. And discipline, you are learning, is just a system you do not interrupt. Level 4. The crossing. You do not become an investor on a dramatic morning. You become one on a Tuesday in October, when your auto-invest fires for the 24th time, and the balance ticks past $22,000. You glance at the dividends line. $1,800 deposited that month. Then the contributions line. $400. Your money earned more than you put in. You sit with that for a long time. You read it again, just to make sure. $1,800 in dividends. $400 in contributions. The ratio has flipped. For the first time, your portfolio is generating more cash for itself than you are feeding into it from your salary. This is the moment most people never reach. Not because the math is hard, because they sold during month 9. 3 weeks earlier, your manager hands you a $6,000 raise. The temptation arrives in the same envelope. A nicer car, a bigger apartment, a weekend in Miami. The lifestyle that absorbs raises within 6 weeks of receiving them and leaves no trace except a slightly higher monthly Amazon bill. You go home, open the spreadsheet. You raise the auto-invest from $400 to $800. Before lifestyle inflation can swallow it, you make a rule that will run the rest of your financial life. 50% of every raise goes into investments before it touches your checking account. Then you have 3 conversations. A mentor. 45 years old, $1.2 million portfolio, made every mistake before you. You ask one question. What do you wish you had known earlier? He thinks for a long time. Then he says, I wish I had understood that diversification does not mean owning 20 stocks. It means owning different types of assets. Stocks, bonds, real estate, a business. Each one does a different job. Most people own one thing, usually their employer's stock, and call it a portfolio. They are not diversified. They are concentrated and pretending. You write that down. Your CPA. 20 minutes on a Friday afternoon. 2 sentences that change the math. Max the 401k match before anything else. It is not investing. It is refusing to take a free 50% raise that your employer is offering you and you have been ignoring for 3 years. You enroll the next morning. Your partner. 2 hours on a Saturday afternoon. You do not ask permission. You set a number together. $500,000 invested in 10 years. The number turns abstract aspiration into a quarterly tracking sheet you both look at on the same Sunday every 3 months. Now, there are 2 of you watching the same line. You add bonds, international stocks, a REIT. Not because someone told you to, because you finally understand that the market is not one thing. It is a collection of different machines, each one humming at a different frequency, each one resilient in different conditions. You are no longer a saver who happens to own stocks. You are an investor. And investors do not pick winners. They allocate capital. Level 5. The first asset. Year 5. Portfolio, $95,000. You have kept the rule. Every raise, half routed in. Every dividend, reinvested. The market has done its job. Compound interest has done its job. The auto-invest has fired 63 times without missing a month. But something has plateaued in your thinking. Sitting at the same kitchen table where the first $100 was decided, you realize stocks are doing one job for you: growth. They are not doing a second job. They are not generating cash flow you can spend without selling shares. They are not being amplified by leverage. They are not being purchased for you by someone else's money. You spend a weekend reading. Then you make a calculation that will change the next decade of your life. A $200,000 rental property, $40,000 down, $160,000 mortgage at a 30-year fixed rate, rent $1,800 a month. After mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance reserve, vacancy reserve, property management fee, cash flow of $280 a month. $280 a month is not impressive. It is less than what you spend on food in 2 weeks. But you keep staring at the numbers, and you start to see what you are actually buying. You are buying $200,000 of asset with $40,000 of capital. The other $160,000 is being paid down by your tenant, not by you. Over 30 years, that mortgage will be erased, and you will not have written a single check toward it. You will own a $200,000 plus asset, probably $400,000 by then given appreciation, that cost you $40,000 in capital and a few hours of management per month. The leverage is the entire point. You spend 3 months looking at properties. You walk away from 4 deals because the numbers do not work. You learn that the deal is made on the buy, not on the sell. You learn that a property that does not cash flow on day 1 will not cash flow on day 500. You close on the first rental in March. The first night, you cannot sleep. $160,000 is the largest debt you have ever signed for. You stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m. and run through every worst-case scenario your brain can manufacture. The tenant is 2 days late on the second month's rent. You panic. You call the property manager at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. The check arrives the next day. The property manager mentions, calmly, that 2 days late is a normal Tuesday in this business. You make a rule. Panic is not a strategy. Process is. 6 months in, the system is running. Rent collected, mortgage paid, $280 a month, deposited into a separate account that auto-invests into VOO every quarter. The cash flow from real estate is buying you more stocks. The stocks are growing, the real estate is leveraging. Each one is doing a different job. This is the moment you stop calling yourself an investor and start being a capital allocator. Not the first $100. Not the crossing. This. Level 6. Financial freedom. Year 12. You are 39 years old. You sit at the same kitchen table where the first $100 was decided and pull up the master spreadsheet, the one you have updated every Sunday morning for 4,800 days in a row. VOO and index funds, $480,000. 3 rental properties. Total equity, $320,000. Net cash flow, $2,400 a month. A small online business you acquired in year 9 for $180,000, now generating $4,800 a month in profit. Bonds, REITs, international funds. $180,000. Total net worth, $1.18 million. Total monthly passive income, $9,200. Your monthly expenses, $6,400. For the first time in your adult life, your assets are paying you more than your life costs. You stare at the gap. $2,800 a month of pure surplus. Money flowing in that has nothing to do with whether you set the alarm tomorrow morning. You take a 6-month leave from your job. Not because you hate the job is fine. Your colleagues are fine. The work is interesting on most weeks. You take the leave because you finally need to know if the system holds without your salary plugged into it. The only way to know if the machine runs without you is to not be there. Month 1, nothing breaks. Month 3, nothing breaks. Month 6, the portfolio has grown by another $34,000. Rents collected on time, the business ran without you. The market did not ask permission and did not need supervision. The auto-invest fired 6 times. The dividends reinvested themselves. The tenants paid. The world did not collapse because you stopped being inside an office for 26 weeks. You go back to work, not because you have to, because you choose to. And the difference between having to go to work on Monday and choosing to go to work on Monday is the entire game. That difference has a name. It is called freedom. A message arrives on a Wednesday afternoon from someone 12 years younger than you, the same age you were when you opened the email about $4.12 of interest. Someone forwarded her an article about you. She tracked you down. She writes, "I just invested my first $100. What do I do next?" You read it for a long time. Then you write back, from the kitchen table where it all started. Invest the second $100 next month, especially if the market drops first. The first $100 proves you can start. The second proves you will not stop. Everything after that is just time, doing its job. The fear you are feeling right now is bigger than the actual risk. The opportunity cost of waiting is entirely real. Do not confuse responsibility with stagnation. Press the button. You hit send. Then you do the only thing left to do. You go for a walk on a Tuesday morning because you can. Coda. Somewhere tonight, a 7-year-old is staring at a savings account that earned $4 last month. The thought will last 4 seconds. Then the fear. The what-ifs. The practiced logic of someone who has confused responsibility with stagnation, who thinks safety is the same as security, who believes the bank account is doing something when it is doing nothing. Most of the time, the thought disappears. But sometimes, someone opens a brokerage account on a Sunday evening. Sometimes, $100 gets invested before the doubt can talk them out of it. Sometimes, the second $100 follows. Even when the market is red, even when the news is screaming, even when the coworker is moving to cash. Sometimes, the auto-invest fires for the 24th time, and dividends finally exceed contributions. Sometimes, the first rental property closes on a Tuesday in March, and the tenant pays their rent on the first of every month for the next 11 years. Sometimes, the system runs for 12 years and pays for the rest of a life. The first $100 proves there is a market. The second $100 proves it was not an accident. The system is the portfolio, and the portfolio, built quietly, contributed to consistently, left alone through every recession, diversified across every asset class, turns out to be more durable than any salary that requires your presence. More durable than any income that stops when you stop. More durable than any exceptional, written into any March performance review by any manager who will not remember your name in 5 years. It started with a number small enough to feel meaningless, and a decision big enough to rewrite everything that came after. Start with the second $100.